what happened next to every real-life character. Arne Johnson. At the trial, Johnson was charged with first-degree manslaughter and was given a 10 to 20-year prison sentence, which was considered to be a reduced charge in light of the fatal stabbing. While incarcerated, he married Debbie Gladesel, who was his girlfriend in the movie as well, in 1984, and furthered his education by receiving his high school diploma and taking college courses. In 1986, Johnson was released on parole for good behavior, having only served 5 years of his sentence. Reportedly, Johnson had been a model prisoner during his time there. Not much is known about what happened to Johnson after that, though Lorraine Warren has claimed in the past that he worked as a landscaper. Also, it seems that Johnson and Debbie remained married, and that both have continued to back up their original accounts of the David Gladesel exorcism and his own demonic possession. Debbie Gladesel. As noted both above and in the movie's credits, Debbie Gladesel didn't give up on Johnson, and married him while he was still in prison. It was reported by the Associated Press back in 1986 that following his release from prison, Johnson returned to Brookfield, Connecticut, his hometown and the site of the Alan Bono killing, to live with Debbie's family for an unspecified period of time. It's hard to say if they ever had children, or if they stayed in Brookfield. Decades later, Debbie shared her thoughts on the case in a paranormal documentary, and consulted in the making of The Conjuring, The Devil May Do It. The movie's director, Michael Chaves, has since revealed that Debbie died of cancer at some point before the film was able to hit theaters. Debbie and Arne Johnson were still married at the time of her death. David Gladesel, played by Julian Hilliard. David Gladesel was the 8-year-old child whose exorcism launched the movie's story. As for his real-life counterpart, The Conjuring 3 took a few liberties with his portrayal. The real David was an 11-year-old boy, and instead of being possessed by one demonic entity, it was said that his body had been overrun by 41 other evil spirits. Sometime after the exorcism, David recovered from the trauma that he went through in the early 1980s, but what exactly he's done in the last few decades isn't known. He resurfaced in 2007, when he and his brother, Carl, who wasn't represented in The Conjuring 3, sued the Warrens over a book they had published about the exorcism and what happened with Arne Johnson. It would seem that David and the rest of the Gladesel family disagree with the notion that he was ever possessed as a child. Ed and Lorraine Warren. Lorraine and Ed Warren, real people. The Conjuring 3 was the most recent case file of the Warrens to be explored by the Conjuring universe, but it was far from their last investigation. The couple, who had been looking into paranormal matters since the 1960s, stayed in the business for several more years before eventually retiring. Among the cases they looked into in the aftermath of The Devil Made Me Do It case with Arne Johnson was the haunting of the Snedeker and Smurl homes in 1986. In both situations, the Warrens were called in to investigate a house that was said to be haunted. While there, they came to the conclusion that the supernatural presence that had invested these homes were demonic entities. Their account of what happened in the Snedeker house was transformed into the Haunting in Connecticut movie, with both of the Warrens being involved in the writing process.